Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to today's investor call of Lion E-Mobility AG. I hope you all can hear me. My name is Sebastian Düring. I'm responsible for investor relations communications at Lion. Before we continue, I want to let you know that this call is recorded and will be available on our website later on. So to meet compliance, note that. Please make sure that you are on mute during the presentation so everyone can hear us properly. With me today on today's call is Thomas Hetmann, board member and managing director of Lion Smart GmbH, and Ian Mukherjee, also board member. And we have quite a packed agenda today, so we want to make sure that we have enough time for your questions. We had some notes after last call, so I will make sure to keep a strict time regime. As for the agenda, Ian will give you a short overview of 2020 and his perspective on the path going forward. After that, Thomas will present 2020 annual figures of Lion Smart and also give a glimpse outlook of what 2021 has in the pocket. We also have prepared a short overview on the shareholder registration process, which I will guide you through. And also, for sure, we have made sure to have enough time for your questions after that. So please send me your questions on the chat functionality here, or just go on mute after we have the calling time slot. This is it from my side, and now I want to hand over to Ian. Ian, are you with us? Ian, it seems to be on.
Yes, can you hear me?
Oh, yes.
Okay, great.
Yes.
Sorry, it said muted by organizer, but never mind. Thank you, Sebastian. We've got a lot to get through today. Thomas is going to review all the numbers. That's really important. And also, we have been collecting a number of questions that investors and potential investors have raised over the last few months. And hopefully, there will be answers to these within the within the presentation. And I don't want to repeat much of what Thomas is going to tell you, and I wanted to really pick out one topic which is filled my mind over the last 2 months. Thomas in December on our investor call mentioned that we have delivered modules to our tier 1 OEM supplier customer, physical modules in a reasonable number. And we've had time to work with this module ourselves and variants of it. And we're very pleased with the results that we've been getting. And we've posted a quick video online, and I suspect Sebastian may well play it just before Thomas begins his presentation. I think the key thing here that jumps out to me is our ability to solve or help solve an industry problem, which is fast charging. All of you on this call, I'm sure, know that range anxiety is a big problem for the EV industry, and fast charging is one of the key ways to solve it, as well as battery range. Range is good, but a fast charge ability of about 15 minutes is really the holy grail of where the range problem gets solved, or range anxiety gets solved. And we believe our immersion cooled battery can attain a 15 to 80% change in state of charge in 15 minutes. And you'll hear more about this over the course of the year. We're rolling out now a more aggressive sales process for this light battery to push this to people. I think I just want to mention one slight technical thing, which is our battery, as you know, is immersion cooled, which means that the entire inside of the battery is bathed in a fluid, non-corrosive dielectric fluid. Um, and that's important because we use cylindrical cells, and it's much harder to do this kind of immersion cooling with pouch or prismatic cells. So cylindrical is a big advantage. The other thing is with cylindrical is there's a very big surface area inside the battery as a result of the cylindrical cells, and that enables the heat to be removed really, really quickly. And I'd say that we're getting pretty good traction with a number of potential clients on this solution. A journey to go, but and other people clearly are pitching fast charge solutions as well. But I think ours looks like it stands a really good has really good ability to stand alongside some of the solutions that other people are putting together. We have the module. We built it in a way so it could be mass produced with production in mind. As you know, we're prototyping it with a tier 1 OEM supplier. It has been used in a vehicle for road tests, and the results coming out of it are actually pretty good. And we're going to continue to roll out pitching this to a series of OEMs as well as other companies, because I'm more confident that with the money that has been put into this program over the last couple of years, that we really it feels like we're getting somewhere. And as I mentioned last time, that we would have the new websites up and running for Lion Smart and Lion E-Mobility, and hopefully people have checked that and seen greater content. And we really welcome as much feedback from investors as possible on how to make these sites better. There'll be more content posted there. There's an investor center with a drop-down menu where we're going to post more and more stuff so investors can get, as much up-to-date news as possible. In parallel to that, the other thing that I'm pleased with is we're busy hiring engineers. That's a big part of the future of Lion. We need smart, bright engineers to come and help us. And also, I think I mentioned last time, that we have on the 1st of April a new person starting who'll be a couple of functions. One is a controller for Lion E-Mobility, but also helping with the investor relations to take it up to the next level. He'll be working full-time with us at both Lion Smart and Lion E-Mobility, working closely with Thomas, and we'll have the ability to react more proactively to investors and potential investors to review numbers and talk them through where we are. And I think with that, Sebastian, I'm going to pause and hand it over to Thomas.
Yes, thanks, Ian. And as you already mentioned, we want to start with the little film we produced, and hopefully everyone can see it.
No music, unfortunately, Sebastian.
Yeah.
And with this, over to you, Thomas.
Yeah. First question at the beginning, can you hear me?
I can.
Yes, good. So thank you very much for this impressive movie, Sebastian. Unfortunately, without any music, but I think it shows how we would like to promote the light battery, how we would like to marketing the light battery, which is the most important product of Line Smart GmbH. And we are pretty confident with this kind of marketing tools, with this kind of information, we will find partners, but also customers who are interested in our technology. And Ian mentioned that very clearly. I think we have a differentiation compared to other battery manufacturers. We have this immersion cooling system in place, which will help us to reduce the charging time, which is, as Ian mentioned, the most or one of the most important features for electromobility. So I would like to inform you about what happened in the last year, not only from a financial point of view, but also in terms of the development of the company. I will give you an update in terms of what happened in the 3 months of 2021. And I would also provide you with an outlook of 2021. Not only in terms of financials, but also in terms of how the company is moving forward in 2021. But first of all, I would like to run through the figures. I mean, we have published the preliminary financial statements in early March. I would like to concentrate on the profit and loss statement. I will give you some information, some explanation of the balance sheet as well. And if there is a need, I would also run through the cash flow statement of Line Smart GmbH. First of all, I think I have to make one general comment upfront. The financial statements for 2020 are set up according to German commercial law, HGB, and the financial information that has been included, the financial information has been published, as I said before, in early March, and they are not yet audited by KPMG. The audit of the financial statement will start next week. We do not expect adjustments from KPMG, but in the sake of good order, I have to say that these numbers are preliminary and not audited. Important to mention as well is that these are the financial statement of the Line Smart GmbH. It's not reflected the activities of the other companies like Line E-Mobility AG as our holding company. Not included is the Line E-Mobility North America, and not included is, of course, our 30% stake in the TÜV Süd battery testing, because the financial statement I'm just explaining is a single financial statement of the Line Smart GmbH. As you know, that we have started a group financial statement last year for the first time. We will continue, of course, this kind of group perspective from a financial perspective. That means we expect to be ready with the group financials by the mid of this year. And these group financial statements are considering the international financial reporting standards. That means IFRS, and not the German commercial financial statements that is applied here in the accounts of Line Smart GmbH. So let me give you an overall summary from our perspective at the management. We believe, and we are strongly believe that the financial year 2020 was an extremely successful year for Line Smart. In addition to a record turnover of more than 17 million euros and I will tell you that in 2019 we had 1.6 million euro. So that is an extreme increase of sales. We have also developed a project with a tier 1 supplier for our light battery that will be successfully completed in March, April 2021, so in close time. And also I think the successful year 2020 was caused that we were able to significantly expand and strengthen our customer base in our integrated business. So if we divide the sales in the pieces of our work, in the pieces of our deliverables, we can say that the integrated business relates to 13.04 million out of the 17.4 million. The development service that we have delivered to our European customers was 3.66 million. The development service to North America customers was 0.45, and all other services relates to 0.25 million euro. So in total, 17.4 million for 2020. If we now go to the total output of the company, which is 7.5 million, we have to include, of course, our own work capitalized. These are the costs that we are capitalized in terms of the light battery. It is allowed according to German law, but also according to IFRS, that we can capitalize our expense in terms of developing the light battery. This was in 2020 0.155 million euros and is shown in the line own work capitalized. The change in inventories is of course only minus 0.065 million euros, and that lead up to a total output of our financial performance of 17.5 million. That is also an extraordinary increase of financial performance compared to last year, and we believe that this strong performance increase confirms our strategy and confirms our business model that we have applied for the line Smart GmbH. The cost of material, which is divided into the cost of raw material and supplies and purchased goods, as well as the cost of purchased services, shows the two main activities of the past financial year. Number one, the expansion of the integrated business segment, and secondly, the further development of the light battery as part of the development project. While the integrated business accounted for total material expense of approximately 11 plus million euros, and thus achieved a gross margin of a high single-digit, low double-digit margin, the light battery segment recorded a gross margin of 1.1 million euros due to temporary and externally employed staff in the production and construction. In other words, the further development of the light battery led to self-financed development costs, including personal costs of approximately 1 million euros for Line Smart. This is not really particularly surprising, since on the one hand, the light battery had to be individually adapted to customer requirements, and on the other hand, a small series production, Ian mentioned that, was set up in a very, very short time, which inevitably led to inefficiencies and short-term adjustments. I mean, you have to consider that we have not had production capacity, production know-how within Line Smart, and in a short period of time, of course, with external advisor, with external people, we have built up this small production in order to provide our tier 1 supplier, our tier 1 partner with the prototype models in terms of the light battery. The personal expense rose only by 0.25 million to 2.4 million in 2020. Main reason for this is individual salary adjustments and a higher average number of employees. However, you have to consider, especially in terms of 2020, as I mentioned before, we have used a lot of temporary workers. We have used a lot of interim manager in order to provide our tier one supplier, our tier one partner with the service and with the modules of the light battery in that short period of time. All these costs, of course, because these people are not permanent staff, are not included in the personal expense. They are included in the cost, in the cost of material and on the other operating expense. Considering the depreciation of 0.212 million euros in the financial year 2020, due to higher investments in machines and equipment, especially for further development of the light battery, results in an EBITDA of minus 0.824 million euros, which is in line of our forecast, and it's in line with what we have always communicated, that we are expecting a loss for 2020. And to make that again crystal clear, this was mainly related to the inefficiency of that we were facing in terms of building up in a short period of time this production. We had to pay a lot of commission fee in terms of headhunter for temporary people, and all this kind of stuff is of course related to the know-how growth within the company, but also in terms of the time limited we had to face in order to provide the tier one supplier with the results of our work. One further important line item I have to mention is that the result from ordinary activities, that means the EBIT, is burdened by cost reimbursement to our sister company Line E-Mobility North America Inc. and this amounting to euro 0.365 million. In other words, we have taken over the costs from Line E-Mobility North America. That has also a tax background in order to be safe in terms of intercompany relation and intercompany documentation principles, but it shows that the result of minus 1 million in total is of course related to this 365,000 of costs that we have taken over from Line North America Inc. From a group perspective, that does not have any influence because we have taken over the expense. The income is of course considered in the accounts of Line E-Mobility North America. So in terms of a group account, that is a washout. In other words, this burden that we have carried on our single financial statement does not have an impact on the group accounts. The EBIT of minus 1 million is at the level of the previous year, but it's only comparable to a limited extent due to the expansion of business operation and the self-financing of the development expense for the light battery I've just mentioned. The positive financial result of roughly 116,000 euro is of course due to high loans to TÜV battery testing, and the net result is, as I mentioned before, approximately 1 million euro. So that's the explanation in terms of the profit or loss statement. I would like to make some more information. I would like to give you some more information in terms of the balance sheet. So Sebastian, can you move over to the balance sheet? So here the balance sheet, Only some explanation in terms of the assets. I mean, property, intangible assets, of course, increased by approximately 0.156 million euros. And this is related to the capitalized development work for the light battery. The property, plant and equipment increased due to investments, especially for the production of the battery models. Financial assets exclusively relating to TÜV Süd battery testing increased by 0.450 million euros due to the granting of a partial loan at the beginning of 2020 and the scheduled repayment of 0.1450 million euros. So in total, there's an increase of the financial assets of 450,000 euros. So the current assets have increased significantly due to the expansion of business and are mainly characterized by the receivables from our customers in the integrated business. Let's turn over to the equity and liability side. Equity increased by almost 1 million euros compared to the previous year. Despite the loss made in the current financial year of roughly 1 million, the equity increased due to the capital contribution of Lion E-Mobility AG, amounting to roughly 2 million euros. Provisions are at the same level as the previous year and mainly relate to staff costs. The liabilities relate to advance payments received from customer, liabilities to service providers, suppliers, tax authority and health insurance funds, as well as other personal costs due to the settlement of wage and salary payments. The increase in liability is also due to the significant expansion of business operations. So these are my explanation in terms of the previous year, 2020. But we would like to give you also an outlook what will happen in terms of the financials for 2021. So we have started very well in the year 2021. We are very optimistic and very confident that we will achieve our goals, our financial goals in 2021. And to remember and to recognize, as we mentioned always, the first quarter tends to be the worst one for us. So that means the good start in 2020 give us confidence that we will achieve our financial goals for 2021. I will come to the specific financial outlook or forecast of 2021 a little bit later. Important for us is also to inform you about our segments, to inform you about our business, how it will move ahead in 2021. And I would like to start with the integrated business in 2021. So we expect that the integrated business segment should continue to grow profitably in the 2021 financial year. We currently have an order backlog of around 27 million for the North American market. I repeat that, order backlog of around 27 million for the North American market. And if you compare our financial performance in 2020, you see obviously that we are growing significantly in 2021 as well. That is our main goal, growing our business, making it present and strengthen our base on a customer relationship, on a customer base, and providing our customer with additional service further on. I mean, our ideas, of course, in terms of the integrated business, and you all know that we are working closely with the BMW E3 batteries. But our ambitious goal in future is that we probably have an opportunity to provide our customers with our own solution of the light battery and provide them with the technology that we are developing for our customers in the next years or so. Important to mention in terms of the integrated business as well is that we are continue to have positive discussion with potential customer who would like to use our solution for electrification with a BMW E3 battery. We are also observing that our existing customers are recommending us to others, which means that new potential customers are requesting our services and solution. On this basis, we are confident that we will be able to significantly expand our existing customer base in 2021. Let me come to a very important point that have been stressed by some of our shareholders, and they ask about how long the production of E3 batteries is secured. In this context, we would like to inform you as follows. The BMW E3 is still in production for a while. Regarding the security of supply after that, we can and we would like to tell you that we are in close exchange with BMW and we are evaluating various scenarios. The solution scenario are confidential so far, so please understand that we cannot provide any further information about them. As BMW is also working on a solution for its own business of supplying spare parts for its BMW E3 fleet in the field with customers, we are confident that we will have supply security for the E3 battery in future. One further important point from our perspective is that we would like to increase our solution in terms of the integrated business with providing customer with how we call it our 800-volt solution. This kind of solution has a little bit differed that is related to our partner in this respect, not in terms of Line Smart. There are a lot of exchange necessary. There's a lot of tests in terms of security. There's a lot of experience necessary in order to find the right solution, but we are confident that we will have a solution in terms of 800-volt solution by the mid of 2021, and that will provide us also with alternatives, and we believe that this is a good basis for sustainable growth of our integrated business segment. So let's come to the light battery. What will happen with a light battery? We all know that you are interested in terms of how it move forward. I mean, for us, but also in terms of our shareholders, I think the message and the announcement that we did in 2020, that we have a cooperation with a tier 1 supplier in order to develop the light battery further, has provided a lot of confidence with Inline, but also in terms of our shareholders, that this kind of light battery, our own product, is moving ahead, is of course developing further in order to be at a point in time our product that we would like to marketing, that we would like to monetize in the near future. When this will be is difficult to say, because I mean, you know that things in terms of new things need a lot of time in order to adjust things, in order to find errors, in order to improve things, so that it's not an easy going process. It costs time. There's a lot of testing necessary in order to find an optimal solution, but the testing and the outcome of the testing is also, let's say, to be recognized in terms of the solution that will be adapted then. And it could also happen, to make that clearly, that some of the tests we did on a regular basis shows us that we have to go different paths in terms of the technical solution. So from that perspective, time is a critical aspect in this respect. We are working hard on that. We have, of course, an ambitious goal to be ready with a light battery by the end of 2021, having a product in place that can be carried on a production on a level of production, but can also be considered for our customers as a product which is demanded. One important point to mention as well is in this context that we have, of course, that we are in continuous dialogues with our tier one supplier. As I mentioned before, the project I mentioned that was, let's say, the core activities in 2020 will be ready by the end of March, end of April. We are in discussion with our tier one supplier to continue this kind of development. So we expect to get an answer by the tier one supplier by the end of April. I have to clearly say that we are not the only one in terms of this kind of development project. There are other competitors who are pitching with us in terms of getting this kind of project. We are confident because of the work we did with our tier one supplier in 2020, and we hope that we will get a final decision by the end of April. One thing is important in this respect: if we do not get the order by our one tier supplier, and we cannot agree on the continuation of the project, we will implement this goal, the preparation of the light battery for serious production by ourselves with internal and external resources. So that is, I think, a clear message. We all hope that we will work together with our tier one supplier, with our tier one partner. But if we do not come to a conclusion how to work together, we will do that by our own. Because I think it's important that we have our own product. That is our goal, to have our own product, and the whole organization of Line Smart and the whole management is ready to go that way. It's not an easy way, to say that clearly, but we have the power, we have the engagement, and we have the people within the company to go that way to finalize the production and the construction of the light battery by the end of 2021, probably first quarter 2022. These are our ambitious goals, and we are doing everything in order to achieve that. So let's come to some other projects in this context, which are also very important to see our context, to see our strategy, and to see how we are moving forward the company into the future. Important to mention, and I have to admit, and I have to get your understanding that I cannot go into more detail because you know there are a lot of NDAs closed with our partners, but I would like to give you some ideas in what direction we are moving. We are in talks with a few well-known companies in the automotive sector for projects dealing with the topic of immersion, cooling, and fast charging. Ian mentioned that in his speech, and I will repeat that again. They are talking with us in terms of the topic of immersion cooling and fast charging. We have found out through simulation and test application that our emerging cooling concept can make a major contribution to the challenge of faster charging batteries. And some of you have also asked the question, what happened with Sogefi? I mean, you have mentioned, you have announced last year this kind of cooperation. We nothing heard about this kind of relationship. Let me tell you that we and our partner Sogefi, we are in very holding promising talks with potential customers in the automotive industry. And let me also tell you in terms of our strategy that these forward-looking and far-reaching search for cooperation partners that we have always practiced help us here to work out solutions for customers at short notice. And I think you will admit that short notice, flexible reaction, being fast than others is a very important attitude in order to provide service, in order to provide valves in terms of the electromobility. So next topic I would like to inform you about it is the growth and organization of Line Smart GmbH. I mean, you know that there is an organic growth of Line Smart, and all organic growth requires a corresponding adjustment to the organization and structure of the company. You cannot grow without growing your organization. You cannot grow with structure the company differently. You cannot grow in order to provide within the company the necessity that customers are looking for. And in this context, Ian mentioned that we have said in terms of the communication department, we have said clearly that we need more communication to the outside market. We have established a communication department that has been created newly. We have strengthened our media presence in terms of the social media channels, and we have built up a new website. This all has been achieved in a short period of time, of course, of the engagement of our people. But it needs, of course, a little bit time that this will be accepted by the customer and that we are achieving the goal to make Line Smart more public, more better known, and that we also positioning the Line Group with its product and activities as a sustainable addressee for green energy solution. At the beginning of the second quarter, we will once again be operating our investor relation department and the associated support for our shareholders with reports and information in-house. In this context, I would like to thank Weber Schendvik in general and Sebastian Düring for their contribution and support. With a planned transition phase, the investor relation activities will then be managed by our new colleague from the middle of the current year onwards, but Sebastian will provide us, of course, with his advice, with his services, and with his tips in terms of building up our investor relationship in-house, which I think is necessary in terms of the growth, in terms of the broaden investor base that we are facing. And from that perspective, we need to have this very important function in-house. With a further orientation of Line Smart GmbH, which is our goal towards an automotive supplier, the year 2021 will also be marked by the establishment of new products and quality requirements. For 2021, we are striving not only for repeated certification according to ISO 9001, but also according to TISAC, and the start of certification according to ERTF 16949. Sorry for this kind of certification, which is EU-based and also related to the automotive industry. With the move of additional premises in Garching and the recruitment of new employees, we are ourselves equipped for further growth. The year 2021 will again be a very challenging one, but with a commitment and identification of our employees with and for Line Smart, we are optimistic that we will be able to master the challenges well. So let's come finally to the financial outlook for 2021. Considering the very dynamic environment, we are currently expect sales revenues of approximately 30 million euros. That is twice as much as 2021. We will further develop the light battery, depending on its scope and intensity, could also lead to significantly higher revenues for 2021. But this is, of course, related that we close the relationship or that we continue the relationship with a tier one supplier. We expect a decision, as I said before, by the end of April. We will, of course, communicate possible positive effects on sales and profitability in a timely manner. These projects I just mentioned, especially in terms of the development of the light battery, are not included in the expected revenue for 2021. Here too, we will adjust our forecast in a timely manner and inform you, our shareholders, accordingly. As you probably know, that we are always very moderate in terms of our financial performance result for 2021. We expect a positive EBITDA of roughly 0.5 million, which is of course impacted by a lot of this transition work, a lot of this one-time items. We have to consider a lot of work in order to move the company, but also the organization ahead. And from that perspective, we are very conservative, and we say, okay, we expect a small positive EBITDA result for 2021. So these are my explanation. These are my information about the situation of Line Smart and the group for 2020 and 2021. And I mean, from my perspective, Sebastian, I think we should open the panel for discussion.
Yes, thank you, Thomas. Maybe give me 2 more minutes for the topic of the share registration process, which I know is of interest for all of you. I've been in close contact with the people at our share register, which is Computershare, and got some information. I have prepared a short overview on the process, which you can see in the presentation, but we will also make sure to upload that on the website to look further into the details. So I'm a little bit conscious of time, so I go very short over this slide and then open the panel for discussion. So the thing is, if you have any questions in terms of the registration of your shares, if this was successful, if there's any other to do from your side, what has to be done, your first point of contact should always be your custodian bank. And from that point on, it depends on if your custodian bank is located in Switzerland, then it's quite a seamless process, because all custodian banks are all Swiss-based banks are connected to the SIX system. And if it is an international bank, then they would have to do some more work in the background and reach out to their Swiss correspondent bank to manage all the processes and also get back the information if the registration process was successful or not. So I know I've been in contact with quite a few people and investors who asked about if the registration process was successful, or if we could confirm that everything is in order. Unfortunately, we cannot directly, because the first point of contact has to be your custodian bank that can provide you with this information. And if you need any check or any confirmation, they will be able to give it to you upon request. In terms of trading your shares, I was informed that this should not be affected by the process, because it is mainly a, let's say, machinery room process in the background of your custodian bank, which should not affect your trading capabilities. So this is for the registration process and the register model. In case of any additional questions, please do not hesitate to contact me. But as I said, your first point of contact for in-depth and individual information should be your custodian bank.
Okay,
yes.
Thank you very much for this kind of picture. I think it shows very clear how this kind of register model is working. In addition to that, I mean, we will post this picture, but also will post on our website some explanation how it works, that each shareholder can look through our website and can make themselves confident and with this kind of process. We will do that, of course, in English and German, that every investor base is, let's say, addressed with this important topic.
Thanks, Thomas. Now I want to open it up for questions. We have one question in the chat functionality here. That is, in how far is the Alliance Smart Immersion Cooling solution better than the solution of others? And does Lion have patents in that regard?
Yeah, let's make a statement. I mean, in terms of our emerging cooling system, we are pretty confident that we are more than competitive in terms of other solutions. As far as we know, there are only a lot of or a small number of competitors in this field. I mean, we have, as I said before, made the tests. We have made some checkings in terms of how the emerging cooling system is working. We have also made some comparison in terms of Tesla. We have made some comparison in terms of the Porsche Taycan. This gives us confidence that we are, let's say, in a good situation as far as this cooling system is concerned. Of course, in terms of the patent, yes, we have patent, but we will also intensify the recording of patents, of new patents in this field with our patent lawyers, and this is a process we are just working on.
Thomas, can I add one thing here, which is, yeah, this is important. You know, true immersion is just beginning in terms of exploratory work in the industry. Nobody has a genuine immersion product out. And as Thomas mentioned, if you look at, you know, fast charging solutions, some are linked to cell chemistry. So there are people who are looking at changes in cell chemistry to try to achieve it. But the people who are out there right now, if you look at the products they have, we think our thermal control of the battery, that is keeping the battery temperature at an optimal temperature of, say, 25 degrees, our product is, as far as we can tell, superior to most other stuff that is being put out on the market. To be able to, I'm sure many of you know it, fast charging is an aggressive thermal event. In some cases, a battery needs to be heated before fast charging begins. And because of the amount of energy being put into the battery in a short period of time, it is an aggressive event and the heat does need to be removed. And I'm sure you can visualize that an immersion solution can do that in a superior way. There are some engineering complexities with respect to immersion cooling, which is why it hasn't been rapidly adopted by the industry. But, you know, I think if you look at product evolution, I think immersion cooling is going to be a product available in the market more over the next few years. And we have found really good interest from, let's call it tier one OEMs. They're slower. Some of them have are looking at multiple solutions. Rarely will one go with one solution, because if they're wrong, they realize they've wasted a lot of time. So one of our edges is to say, look, you should really look at our product, because it may be, you may be able to use it in one model that you have. It could be a high performance model or one where range is really, really critical. And so they should at least consider it. So yes, I think it's very competitive. And as Thomas mentioned, we are going to continue to develop, refine, and improve, sometimes with customers and sometimes, if necessary, on our own, because we believe in this product and we think that it will likely be used somewhere. And remember, you know, when you do the maths in your head, we only need one customer somewhere in the world to use 100,000 of our modules, and that's kind of $1 billion plus in revenues. So that is our goal. That's what we're trying to achieve. We want to, of the hundreds of vehicle models in the world, we just want someone to use our module in one of their vehicles for a run of, say, 100,000 units a year. God forbid we could penetrate higher than that. So Sebastian, can I ask, I just want to ask Thomas a question, because I know it's something that has come up with both investors and certainly potential investors, and I think it would be good to get clarity on it. Thomas, can I ask about the margins of the integrated business and also the negative margin contribution of the light battery, driven by the fact that we have to invest a lot in it because it's more in prototyping phase? Could you elaborate a little bit on that? Because I think it's a question that comes up quite a bit.
Yeah.
Yes, please. And also there is the question connected to that, the cost of materials, a little bit more insight on that, and the current cost structure to that part of the P&L. Maybe that could fit into one answer.
Yeah, I mean, as I said before, I mean, the profit and loss statement and our financial performance of 2020 was mainly related to the integrated business segment, and secondly to the development of the light battery. These were our main activities in 2020. And as you know, or as you can see, I mean, these are totally different segments. There are totally different cost structures in place. I mean, let me start with the light battery. We have agreed with our tier one supplier, of course, a sales contribution in terms of the project. And we have agreed, of course, let's say an output of this project. As I said before, I mean, there is, of course, a lot of material components, a lot of cost components in terms of purchased services, as I said before, included in the profit and loss statement. If you divide this kind of total cost in 2020, you can say, okay, let's say we have a further investment by our own, that means Line Smart GmbH of roughly 1 million. So that means not any of the development process we did in 2020 has been covered by our tier one supplier. We had to invest approximately 1 million more in order to get to that stage that we currently have. And from my perspective, I think it's a normal way. I mean, this light battery is in development. A lot of the costs that incurred in terms of further developing this product was covered by our tier one supplier. However, in terms of new expectation, in terms of new knowledge transfer, in terms of this kind of project, we have to support this kind of product by ourselves as well. And I think roughly saying that, it's to a certain extent sometimes difficult to say, okay, these are the costs which are really totally clear related to the development of the light battery. But this kind of definition is not easy to make. But I think in terms of our calculation of the controlling, we have to say that we have spent again 1 million more in order to develop the light battery. In terms of the integrated business, I mean, we have, as you all know, let's say this kind of a two-step approach. The first step is that potential customer ask us to say, okay, Line Smart, can you please check whether it's possible to electrify our vehicles and that we are able to go away from this combustion engine and implementing electrification. Then we are starting to investigate, let's say, the vehicle. We are checking whether the space is enough in terms of the batteries. We are checking the application. We are checking the cooling system, and we are checking, of course, the safety features, which we have to ensure in terms of the E3 battery that we are buying from BMW. All this kind of work is doing by our engineers and by our specified engineers in order to find out, is an electrification based on the E3 model of BMW possible. This is something which comes to a conclusion afterwards, and if the conclusion is positive, afterwards we have this kind of purchase or delivery contract in place where we sell the batteries from BMW to our customers. And if you see this kind of business, this kind of service, which is on the one hand side, of course, a service business, but on the other hand, also a trade business. If you put that together, which we think is the right approach to say, we are recognizing, let's say, a gross margin of a high single digit and a low double-digit margin for this integrated business. This integrated business, to say that clearly, is not very personal intensify. So we have, let's say, 3, 4, 5 people in this segment, which are very confident and very experienced in terms of this kind of work. And from that perspective, this is a profit business for us, and we will continue this kind of profit business. The light battery, which is still in development, is of course a lost business so far, but we are expecting, if we are ready with conception, if we are ready to address the bugs which are still there, we are confident that with our partners we can marketing the product, and we can of course monetize the product in order to catch back all of the development costs we have spent for developing this product. Does this answer your question, Ian?
Hope so.
Sorry, Sebastian, I was muted.
Yes.
I was going to say, yes, it does answer the question. I think that I think that you know, investors should be okay with the fact that the light battery in development, we're going to be investing in it, and as we invest in it, it's likely to be not a positive. If you looked at just that product on its own, it's not going to be a positive EBITDA contribution, because we will always want to continue to develop and improve it. But I think it's also important to note that separate to that, that the integrated business is already a positive contribution with, I think you gave a, you know, it's very hard for us to give an exact margin for many reasons, but I think that giving a range would be very helpful for investors when they think about this business. You know, the two questions that they would want to ask is, you know, how much could this business grow? And number two, what margin should I assume? So I think good margin range is important. And then the second thing to think about is, what is the growth in that business? And I think, Thomas, I just make a couple of points, which is, you know, you know, we've seen the Biden administration in the US, and we have seen that, you know, there is a flurry of activity, and there is, without a doubt, you know, I mean, there is many years, a decade of work that needs to be done out there. And I don't see why we can't play a role in that. There are two important questions with the i3 business, I think. One is, Thomas, you've addressed, and I understand you can't talk about it in a lot of detail because of NDAs and confidentiality, but one is what about the long-term supply of the i3 product in general? And I think, as you've said, it's something that we are working on and hope we can come back with more information. And then the second one is, which I think is important, is when you look at I mean, remember, the i3 is a tried, tested, and trusted product. So a lot of people in public transportation like this product with respect to a brand new product. They don't want to be part of testing, and the i3 battery's been around for a while. Having said that, there is a further question over time, which I think will come up, which is, can the i3 battery be upgraded? The i3 battery's energy density is largely a function of the cells that are used in its construction. And I'd say it's possible, and something that we're looking at with BMW over time, to have an upgrade to that battery so that we would have a easily certified higher energy density product that could be delivered into various markets, not just North America, but I think that we will see demand for this come in other places as well. And the numbers are really small. I mean, 30 to 50 million euros of packs a year is a small number. And of course, this number hopefully will grow, and the product would need to be developed. So I think, you know, these are a lot of the questions that come up from investors. And I think as much as we can, Thomas, we've given, you know, a range of answers that will help people think about it a bit better. What we won't do, and I think Thomas is very clear on that, Thomas is not going to hype it, as they say in sort of US, UK. What we're going to do is, rather than give ridiculous sales forecasts, we're more likely to just give guidance as orders come in and we have clarity on those orders, because it's very hard for us to predict, you know, what the order book will look like in 3 or 4 months. When we're a more mature company, perhaps we can do it. But at the moment, we think it's more prudent and safer and better for shareholders if we announce business as and when it comes in. So that's our strategy, which is a little bit of under promise and hopefully over deliver. Thanks, Sebastian.
Thanks. We have a couple more questions in the chat functionality. One is more on the financial side. Thomas, so this might be for you. What do you expect will be your material costs as percentage of sales in the future when successful industrial production comes in place? I don't know if you're able to answer that at this point.
No, I think it's a little bit difficult to say. I mean, you have also to consider, I mean, we are a small company. We are, of course, trying to improve on a steady basis our controlling instruments, our reporting instruments. We have not yet set up a segment reporting that we can clearly say what kind of costs should be allocated to the segment, because there's always, of course, a mix up. And what I would like to try to say, I mean, we have to concentrate on our operating business. I mean, this kind of information are important without any question. We are working on a continuous basis on that. We have made further steps ahead. I will remember to the group financial accounts that we have set up last year, especially in terms of providing all of our shareholders with a comprehensive view of the financial performance of the whole group. This kind of controlling process, this kind of segment reporting will be continued, that we have this kind of clear information. But I'm asking for understanding that we as a small company have to concentrate, and that is my clear, ambitious goal, on the operating activities. The financial information has to follow. We will, of course, improve the reporting, the internal reporting as well, but this has to be taken step by step. First of all, I think it's important that we are positioning the line Smart GmbH as really a key company in terms of electrification, a key company in terms of battery technology, and of course in terms of providing our own product, which is called light battery, as you know, and that we are really be recognized as a specialist in terms of cooling system, immersion cooling possibility, and the way this can be used for other functionalities of a battery. And I think there was also a question in terms of whether it could be interested listing the company on the US stock market. Yes, you can think about that, but you should not underestimate how much work, how much administrative burden and cost this will apply. And from that perspective, I think my clear strategy is we have to provide the shareholder with relevant and with trustful information. But I think we have to concentrate our sources as far as the money is concerned in the development of the light battery, in the development of our integrated business, because that is something we have to be work on in order to strengthen our base, in order to strengthen our customers' relationship, and all things which will come along in the future has to consider that we will grow, that we will be successful, and that we will also achieve, and that is my personal goal, that we also achieve by all of the growth we are seeing in the next year, that we will be profitable by the end of the year. And this kind of, let's say, goals, growing sustainably, but also have in mind to be profitable, is really an important, and it's really an ambitious goal, because as you know, most of the companies who are concentrating on growth, they are not really important or less important concentrating on profitable growth. We would like to profitable grow the company. The profitability is, of course, of importance, of less importance compared to growth as far as sales, as far as our customer are concerned. But we do not keep the cost, we do not keep the profitability out of our mind. And from that perspective, we are trying to achieve both. And that is, from my perspective, an important message to the shareholder as well, and we are working hard on that.
Thanks, Thomas. With a look at the time, we have two more open questions here, and I would direct one to you, Thomas, and the other maybe to Ian, and ask for a short answer. The more technical question, so to maybe to you, Thomas, is on the i3 business and why to open in future to other older batteries, BMW or other OEMs. What's your view on that?
I mean, from my perspective, let's put it in twofold. I mean, first of all, we all know that the E3 battery is an older technology, not an old technology, an older technology. We all know that the development in terms of technique is going fast, and will develop new technologies in terms of battery, new solutions in terms of batteries. We are pretty confident that this time will come in future, but you have to consider in terms of the E3 batteries, that this is a battery with a really good track record. First of all, I think it's important to say that this E3 battery is really cost efficient in terms of kilowatt hours. We have to say that the E3 battery is really good in terms of safety. This is a track record that this battery is really safe. And in terms of our business in the US, we have a lot of business in terms of passenger transportation. And I think you can imagine that passenger transportation, the most important thing in this respect is the safety of the battery. It's not really important about the performance of the battery. The most important thing is safety. And this E3 battery provide this kind of safety. That is an overall statement from my perspective. We all know that the technique will step ahead in future. We are prepared in terms of this further development and better technology that will definitely come in future. We will have our light battery, and our light battery should be competitive in terms of the development of probably other batteries. And with this kind of combination, that can also have, let's say in the future, the situation that we can switch the E3 battery solution with our light battery solution. I think we have a stake in this. And one thing is, from my point of view, always important, and that is what we are practicing every day. We have to have a customer base. And we have now built up with this technology a customer base. These customers are asking us, what about our light battery? Is it possible to substitute the E3 solution with our light battery? We are not yet there because the light battery is not ready. But as you can see, I mean, having a customer base, and we are the one face to the customer. We are talking to the customer in North America. We are talking to the customer in Europe. We have this kind of privilege, and this kind of privilege will give us an opportunity to provide our customers with additional substitution of battery technology, but we have to have this one line direction to our customer. That is what we are working every day on.
Thanks. And then last question, as I see it, maybe this is someone for you, Ian. Did the view of the Biden administration open some new talks in the US? Is there a mind change in the industry visible?
Sorry, Sebastian, is there a mind change? Is there a big change in the industry with the Biden administration coming in? Is that the question?
Yes, the view of the Biden administration opened some new talks in the US. Is there a mind change in the industry visible?
Yeah, look, I mean, I think hopefully everyone on this call sees it. You know, there is, electrification has to increase in its speed. I think that is patently obvious. It's noisy, and you never know who's going to win. I mean, VW are looking much better than they were 2 years ago with relation to Tesla. They'll soon be probably making more electric vehicles than Tesla, and good vehicles as well. But I think that the pace of electrification inflects up further. We are, I don't, everybody knows, I think, that we're in a climate emergency. We can't afford to go above 2.5 degrees of warming. I think that finally, if you look at where the G7 is, and we have the COP in Glasgow later this year, the G7 talks on climate change. And I think the agenda is only going to get more aggressive. And I don't see yet any other solution for mobility, ground mobility, other than really electrification. I think fuel cell may come for longer distance heavy good vehicles. That looks like a segment that would fit. But I think for urban and most other ground transportation, the route is going to be electrify quicker. There are those people, within the Biden administration who are looking for even more aggressive plans. Some people think that actually getting to a place where emissions are static in the world is not good enough. Rather than not growing, rather than just reducing, we need to think about how to get carbon that's been put in the atmosphere out. So, this is a progressive administration compared to the last one in many ways, but certainly with a view to electrification. And our job at the moment, remember, this is a relatively new administration. And our job, for example, in the US, and this is another way that Sogefi is very helpful. Sogefi have a factory out in Detroit handy, and they have quite a lot of people out there, engineers, administrators, lawyers, and they're helping us understand the full breadth of opportunity in North America, helping us with pitching and who to pitch to, and also to understand the administration in different respects. But I think the one thing that's very clear that this administration is going to be aggressive in terms of the targets that it's going to put out there for electrification. I'd give one caveat to that, which is where the US is poor at the moment is in cell production. They can fix it, but a lot of work needs to go into cell production in the United States. I'd say, Asia is miles ahead. Europe is doing much better. But the US is way behind. If you look at some of their goals on electrification by 2025, say, and then you look at possible cell supply in North America, the two don't match up. And so I think the administration also has to work in terms of pushing cell manufacturing in North America.
Okay, Ian, thanks. Thanks, Thomas. We have no more questions. We have spent quite a lot of time on this call. So I want to thank you all. I want to thank you for your trust and your questions and participation, and looking forward to the next projects and the next steps on this exciting journey. Thank you all and have a great day.
Thank you.